And we are asking questions tonight about the impact of fireworks on those who suffer from PTSD. As many people enjoy the bright, colorful shows, it can do serious harm to those who have served our country. Joining me now tonight is Dr. Albin Bizimana, psychologist in trauma recovery and PTSD outpatient team lead at Dayton's VA. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight. Let's start with how these loud explosions from fireworks could differently impact veterans as opposed to everyone else.
Yeah, that's a good question. For most of us, that's just a time to enjoy 4th of July celebrations. But for our veterans, it can be a time where they're reminded of their combat trauma. And for those with PTSD, it can be particularly distressing because those fireworks start to make them feel as if they are back at the time of the trauma, reliving those experiences again.
Yeah, so if somebody, one of our veterans, is seriously triggered by these fireworks, what kind of mental health issues might show up, or what might the response look like?
Well, it's likely that they might go into their fight or flight response, and that can be different for different people. For some people, they might try to take cover in order to shield themselves for incoming fire. That can look like freezing up. That can look like trying to flee or becoming aggressive. For many people, they might become irritable or try to withdraw in order to cope with this reminder.
Well, the nice thing about 4th of July fireworks is that we know they're coming, so planning and having a plan in place can be a positive start. So what could people do in order to maybe start a conversation with veterans in their community or people they know about how this impacts them?
Yeah, I think one thing we can do is just normalize that triggers are real and that they do happen. The more we can talk about that and normalize that, we can also do things like letting the veterans know, for example, at my party, when the fireworks display is going to take place. That way there are less surprises and the veterans are able to have that context of, hey, this is a celebration. I know it's coming at this time and I can prepare myself and use my coping skills in order to navigate that experience well.
Yeah, are there fireworks that can be put off without hurting someone who suffers? How can you learn what is safe or what isn't?
The difficult thing here, Brooke, is that it's really hard to be able to predict what's going to trigger somebody and what's not going to trigger somebody. So the best thing you can do is prepare the people who are going to be attending your festivities as to when it's going to be happening. Try to make sure that they are festivities that are around other things and not just all centered around the fireworks. And then help the person with some grounding strategies by just simply reminding them where they are and that they are safe in that moment. That can really go a long way. And of course, if these strategies don't work, referring them to see somebody like me who can help them with their PTSD recovery in a more thorough manner.
And what you just mentioned there, if we do have veterans that are watching and they're trying to get prepared for this holiday and they know they're going to be hearing some of those fireworks, is talking to somebody like you something that they can do after the fact?
Yes, it certainly is. So you can use the grounding strategies, reminding yourself of where you are, that you are safe in order to differentiate the present and the past, and to remind yourself that you're not there. But if you find that these strategies aren't working, that you're having to lean on things like substance use or avoidance in order to make it through these events, that's a good indicator that, hey, it's time to reach out and get some help. And we at the VR are here for that.
All right, we want to keep our veterans safe and happy this holiday. Dr. Albin Bizimana, psychologist in trauma recovery and PTSD outpatient team lead at Dayton's VA. Thank you so much for joining us here tonight.
Thank you so much for having me, Brooke.